This video is brought to you by Sporlan, quality, integrity, and tradition.
The lighting in this walk-in is so weird. It's like yellow. So I had a service call last night. It is Monday, August 4th. So last night a service call came in saying the beer walk-in was making a weird noise. They said it was coming from this evaporator, and that the temp though was like at like 40. So they didn't think I needed to come out last night, but they wanted me to come out today. But they said the noise stopped. So we don't know what's going on here. So let's go ahead. It's nice and cold in here. I'd say it's 36 degrees. So let's head up to the roof and look at the condensing unit and see what's going on up there. This is my refrigeration rack. Beer walk-in compressor's right here. It's not running. It's not very hot. Condenser fan motors are both running in the right direction, moving a good amount of air. But I suspect, what I'm curious about is if it was off on high pressure or internal bypass or something. Let's have a look at the condenser. Actually, it's not that dirty. So what is this noise that they heard? I mean, it's a little dirty, but I don't think enough to cause a major problem. This guy takes a lot of refrigerant, and it's 404. It's expensive right now because 404 is currently being phased out. And since I'm in California, of course, we have to take any restrictions that are coming from the government and multiply them by 100. So 404 is being phased out slowly across the United States, but in California, we haven't technically been able to use it on major system retrofits and new installs for like 2 years now. So we can use it on repairs all day long, but with the phase out happening, the price has gone through the roof. So 36 pounds of 404, it's gonna be a lot of money. So what we need to start doing is just talking to the customers into converting the systems over to the new refrigerants, 448A probably. So, but who knows? I don't know if that's gonna be today or not. Okay, well, we're just waiting for this guy to turn on, see what's up. The control panel for the rack, we've got a couple time clocks in here. It's currently 7:38. Pretty accurate on the time. A little bit off, but nothing crazy. Yeah, they're all about the same time, so that's good. There we go. So time clock doesn't seem like an issue. System C is the beer walk-in, this one right here. So I don't see anything crazy. The unit is satisfied, so I'm just waiting for it to turn on. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and apply service gauges. But it's really important to understand this has a packing that you can loosen. So you just take the flat edges, loosen this, articulate the stem, and if it's leaking, then you can tighten this back up. It extends the life of the packing gland, which does get worn out a lot when they're super tight. But obviously it needs to be tight so it doesn't leak. So keep that in mind if you're doing these. If you're doing a new install or something like that, and you have this open, keep in mind that it is gonna leak, right? So evacuations and stuff, you don't want these packing glands loose. Anytime you're doing evacuations, you really should have the caps on these because they are not 100% leak proof. So we're just applying service gauges, waiting for this guy to turn on. But very important lesson right here, these gauges are not attached to anything. There's pressure in them. I typically don't like to leave pressure in them. So someone forgot to bleed my gauges out. But you always want to make sure that your gauges are zeroed out, any kind of digital probes. Just like on a compound manifold, I know a lot of you guys probably never use compound manifolds, old school, but with old school compound manifolds, you had to zero them to atmosphere, right? Because atmospheric pressure changes wherever you go. What is it, like 14.7 or something like that at sea level, somewhere in there. And you know, the higher you go, it's gonna change. The lower in elevation you go, it's gonna change. But then also refrigerant in your hoses can make them go out of calibration too. So with digital and with compound manifolds, you wanna make sure they're zeroed to atmosphere before you apply them to the system. That way you get accurate readings. If this said, you know, 10 PSI, sometimes they go out of calibration, right? Even when they're open to atmosphere, it'll say 3 PSI, and you put it on the system and it'll be off by 3 PSI. And while that doesn't seem like a lot, it can make a difference. So keep that in mind. But all right, applying service gauges right now. These are service valves. So what we are gonna do is go into the cracked position. So Now notice, look at, you can see bubbling right there, right? Okay, so I opened it. All you have to do is open it to like maybe, you know, quarter turn or something like that. The stem, right? So we technically kind of mid-seated it, but what we do right now is I went ahead and tightened that packing gland back down, okay? So we've got 145 PSI on the high side, and then we've already got the packing gland loosened on the low side right here. So we're gonna articulate the valve, go in about that much. Then we're just gonna tighten this gland back up, okay? And then now we've got system pressure, high and low, okay? We wanna purge our gauges. Now there may not be liquid, just kind of purge whatever's in there. You're just getting the air out of your lines. Looks like it just turned on. Okay, so our gauges are purged, the system just turned on, and we're just gonna watch it, watching the sight glass, because right now we should have a clear sight glass when it's in operation. So we're gonna watch it for a minute, let it stabilize, and then check the sight glass. All right, so it's slowly building up pressure. Sight glass, we got a nice big Sporlan seat all over there. Right now it's clear, but we got to give it some time. Make sure the system stabilizes and operates. We want to make sure we have a clear sight glass when the system's operating, but a clear sight glass on a system like this does not always necessarily mean it's the right amount of refrigerant, because this system more than likely has a head pressure control valve. This helps with low ambient conditions, and it requires extra refrigerant on top of just a clear sight glass. So always make sure you know how to charge these systems. But so far nothing crazy is jumping out at me. We're gonna go downstairs and see if we hear any weird noises like the customer was complaining about. Yeah, that's interesting, because they're complaining that it was making a loud hissing sound, and he even reported it for me. Huh, but it's not doing it now. I wonder if it was low on charge. You know, like I thought maybe the condenser was dirty and it was going off on internal bypass, but it doesn't seem to be the case. It's running right now. Interesting. At this point, we're gonna pump this guy down. So let's step over here. We're running right now. I just turned it back on. We're gonna walk over here, and the king valve on the receiver is on the outlet of the receiver. That's this guy right here. There is no packing gland to loosen on this. Some of them have a packing gland like on the other side. So with that being said, we're just going to front seat this valve, and the system's gonna pump down, and then we are gonna check the liquid level in the receiver to see if it's where it should be or where it was left the last time we worked on it. So there's that. It's front seated. I always put these caps on because those always leak. And let's see what our liquid level's like. After we pump it down, it's just running lower, lower, lower until the compressor, which is off now, shuts off on low pressure, right? And it stacks all the refrigerant in the receiver. So let's go over here, and we're gonna heat up the receiver with the heat producing device and check the liquid level to see if it's where I left it. All right, so I took a heat producing device, went up and down a couple times. You gotta make sure you don't hit there's soft plugs on these receivers, and that's the pressure relief device on them, and that'll blow out if you get them too hot. Okay, so we're looking at the receiver, and you see the yellow color. That is vapor, 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 vapor. Notice how it's getting purple towards the bottom? That's liquid. So this receiver is severely low. The liquid level's like down here. Severely low. It should be when it's pumped down right here. So this guy is low on refrigerant. Okay, so we need to look for giant leaks first. First things first. So, put my thermal imaging camera away real quick. Okay. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna look for leaks on the high side of the system. So that's from here, right here. This is the inlet to the receiver, the queen valve, okay? It's always a king valve coming out of the receiver. Queen valve on the inlet, okay? So this is the queen valve. This is if you wanted to isolate the receiver for some reason or something like that. So king valve right here, queen valve here. I don't know if I said that incorrectly, but that's wrong. Oh, and if you look right here, fusible plug temp. If the receiver gets above 430 degrees, the fusible plug's gonna blow out. That's what we don't wanna do when you heat it up, if you heat it up. All right, with that being said, we are gonna look on the high side of the system. So that's anywhere before this valve, this whole receiver, all the high side, all this to the compressor, just not on the low side. So everything coming out of the receiver, the gas is stopped coming out, going to the dryer and everything. Now there is a little bit of oil on the dryer over there, but I don't think it's enough. I don't know. It might even just be nylog. So we're gonna do a quick leak search on this guy. I'm gonna shut the rack down, pull the covers off the condenser, make sure there's no giant leaks on the high side. Okie dokie, so let's go. Hot spots are pressure controls. These things always leak. Look, see? Told you, hot spots. These pressure controls are notorious for leaking. So, and that's on the high side. Right, so that could be a problem, but let's keep going. We're gonna check the rest of the system. So we're looking up here. Nothing crazy. I guarantee it's gonna be leaking out of this valve. These things always leak. Oh, maybe not. The guarantees can be wrong sometimes. Okay. So nothing there, but definitely, so notice it's got 0, right? But I'm gonna come down to this. There it goes, it's going crazy. So that would be the high side right there. All right, so we're gonna check the rest of the high side real quick, just looking for any giant leaks. Nothing, nothing, nothing. I don't see any oil. We're gonna open up the condenser real quick, do an inspection in there. Inspection in here. Not really seeing any oil or anything, so I don't see anything that's of concern. Put this lid on. So if it's just a pressure control, we would go ahead and put 404 back in it, because to convert this over to 448A, we're gonna need to really dig into the coils, potentially change the expansion valves, and look at the nozzle sizing. So on a system like this, we would do a repair, change in a pressure control, and continue to use 404, you know, unless we run into major issues. And I don't really see anything going on over here either. Just running the leak detector through. I'm not picking anything up. Pretty confident if there was a leak in here, you would, you know, see it significantly. All right, with oil and stuff, we're just gonna do a couple passes under the condenser, make sure nothing's falling out of the middle of the condenser. I don't see anything. So now we got to figure out how to change that pressure control without recovering the entire charge. Let's see if we can do that. Put a little of the big blue on here, and it's bubbling out of there pretty darn good. Out of that pressure control, so the bellows or something's leaking down on the bottom. Something's going on in there. Okay, so now I'm gonna look and see if I have a way to, I mean, this thing's severely low on refrigerant, so it's actually not that much pressure. I almost wonder if I could just pop this off and change it on the fly, but I'd like to get that head pressure down a little bit. It's at 170. I'm gonna see if I can shut it down a little bit. Front seat of that, and I'm attempting to dump the high pressure that's in the compressor over into the low side. So I opened it up. Let's see if we can pop this off. If this only has minor pressure, then I can change it on the fly. Let's see if that's accurate. Yeah, perfect, that'll work. It's just minor pressure, and that's the high side, so that's the hardest one. The other one is on the low side and it's pumped down. I'm gonna go get a pressure control for my van, and we're gonna get this guy swapped out. I think we're gonna be okay here. So what we're gonna do is we are going to get this disconnected, move it out of the way, get the new one installed there, do the electrical, then do the piping last. That is the plan, at least. So let's get on with it. And we gotta put everything in really tight spots. There we go. So now, you guys get like, I get these, it feels like I have glass in my kneecaps. Sure, it's some weird medical thing, probably from kneeling down without knee pads for too long. But it hurts so bad. There's nothing there, and it's just random. Like both of my knees, mainly my right one, but my left one will do it occasionally too, where when you kneel down, even if I'm on a kneeling pad, it feels like there is glass going through my kneecaps. And I don't think I have any glass in there. I think it's just like a getting old thing. It's annoying though. Seriously, does not feel good. Probably should go get it checked out. That would require me taking time off work. And just like when the doctor diagnosed me having a pinched nerve in my neck, I was like, man, I don't got time to deal with that right now.
I realize everybody out there's like, dude, you gotta take care of yourself, but the pinched nerve thing is like potentially a neck surgery that may or may not work. So it's just something I deal with. Sucks because ever since I had the pinched nerve in my neck, I literally have my 2 fingers are slightly numb in the end, and the pinched nerve will work its way from my neck down my arm, and then sometimes down into my back. And it's usually when I get really stressed out is when it starts being agitated and flaring up. All right, so these. Some people say, why in the heck am I using pressure controls with capillary tubes? I don't know, I just like them. I guess, I don't know. I don't know that the other ones are going to be any better. I don't know, you guys tell me. Do you guys prefer using the pressure controls with or without the capillary tubes? Do you like the ones that have the little what do you want to call it, vinyl hoses or whatever? I mean, I guess those are probably okay. I've just never really been a huge fan of those. I've accidentally melted the vinyl hoses before. That was not fun. It was like a compressor change I did a few years ago, and my torch went across the freaking vinyl hose, and it was like, guess I'm changing the hose now. It's a bit melted it good. Alright, so I'm just putting the 3/8 screws back down. Now we don't know if this is the only leak, but this is a significant leak, and this would cause the system to lose a significant amount of refrigerant. So, but we are still going to do a quick leak search of the system downstairs too when we are done. But everything downstairs in theory would be low side of the system, so we could fix that via pump down. Me bleeding that gas from the high side into the low side, that usually wouldn't happen if this thing had a lot of refrigerant in it. I suspect it doesn't have very much refrigerant, but it has enough to run, just during the night I guess it didn't or something. I don't know, it's weird. Alright, so we got that. Now what we need to do is bring this low pressure control over this way, kind of a roundabout the same way as the other one, over this way, and then we're gonna go up right here, and then something along these lines, like that. Get my nylog out. So because I'm doing this system the way that I'm doing it, I shouldn't have to change the dryer, because we're not going to take it into a negative pressure. Just keep that sealed. As long as there's still gas in the system, we shouldn't have to change the dryer or pull a vacuum. Put a little bit where the flare nut's going to meet, and then I like to put a little bit on the threads. Some people don't. To each their own. It's okay. Okay. There we go. So that's 20 psi of pressure. It's not a big deal. But what I will do is bend it the opposite way, because no matter what I do, it's going to turn a little bit when I tighten it. Right? So now it turned and went straight. Like that. So low side's done. Now time for the high side. This one's a tricky one. So before we get the high side put on there, we're definitely going to run it over into that area, the capillary, so that way we're ready to go, right? So we're going to come out of this, up, over, over, and then up, just like that. And then we will probably fix that like that, and do something like that. Okay, get this guy ready. This guy right here. Yeah, it looks like this worked out perfect. I didn't know if this was going to work. I don't know if I've ever done it this way where I bled the high side into the low side. Okay. I think like one time I did it a different way. Someone said I could do this, and I was like, huh, I don't think I ever knew that. So, see, I learned from you guys too. Okay. There you go. Yes, we're going to go the opposite way. And then tighten that down. And then do something like that. Something like that. You want to make sure that these are nowhere near where they're going to touch anything. Just like that. And our pressure control is installed now. So now I just need to do the electrical connections and then we'll be good. So let's do that real quick. So I currently have the rack off, so that way I was doing the leak search on it. So with that being said, all the other equipment's not running right now either, so we got to be conscious about that because their temps will be rising on their other stuff.
Okay, so we're here 60.
Okay. I have a tool to tighten these electrical nuts on, but it's down in my van. And I'm too lazy to go get it. Instead, I'll just beat on a screwdriver that you're not supposed to. My tools are pretty abused. If I can't use them for multiple functions, that's why I don't buy really expensive stuff. Like, for instance, I did splurge and buy the Knipex pump pliers and all that stuff, and those I don't hit with because those are way too expensive, but for the most part, all my other stuff is pretty well weathered and I can beat on it and stuff. Okay. Man, it's kind of humid today. Kind of sweating over here. Alright. It's supposed to be warming up for us this week. We've had upper 90s, low 100s, but nothing like consistent here in SoCal. It really hasn't been crazy hot as of yet, but we'll see how what August has for us. July was pretty mild comparatively to previous years. I know that the East Coast is getting slammed with heat and stuff, but East Coast is getting killed because they have high temps and crazy high humidity, which we don't know what that is out here. We lose our minds at 40 to 50%. Anything over that and we're dying in the SoCal region where I'm at when you hit, you know, those high temps. So, alright. Here's their roll boost. There we go. Alright, so we're going to kind of match the other pressure control because it seemed to be shutting off at a good place. So, where were we at here? On this other one, cut in about 25, cut out about 10, and we had about 425 for the high pressure. So we'll do somewhere in that range. 425. Now this is an auto reset because we would get way too many nuisance calls if it was a manual reset. This thing will trip in the middle of the summer. It's 425, especially with customers not doing good routine maintenance. I would be slammed with just 25. And we want 10 to be our cutout-ish. There we go, somewhere in there. That's about where it needs to be. Okay. Alright, now we're going to open these guys up. There's the high side pressure. Okay. And we're going to go over and get the receiver right now. Alright, so let's get this off. And then we're basically just going to backseat this guy and then turn it back on. Initially this guy wasn't flashing, but now it's flashing really good. So it just must not have been under a load. I got the door propped open still, so got some 404 hooked up, and we're going to start adding gas. We're going to clear up the sight glass, and then we'll check the liquid level at that pump down mark again. We'll get it filled up to that mark. So it didn't take much to clear up the glass. Now we're going to give it a second. I don't know if it's going to stay clear or not. I still see a little bit of vapor going through it, like every once in a while. I'm going to see it. But we're just going to watch it for a few minutes. Now, here's the thing. It was working when I got here this morning, right? Like, everything was working. They said it was making a sound. They let me hear the sound. It sounded like refrigerant or off on high pressure and bypassing internally or something. I think it was refrigerant because the receiver level is extremely low. Probably kind of started to cool off yesterday and then it became a problem. So we're just going to add refrigerant for a little bit and then check that liquid level again. We'll pump it down, check the liquid level, get it up to where it should be. And then that's the proper flooded charge for this guy in the real low ambience. All right, I pumped it down again, and let's look at this receiver now. So it's bright yellow at the top, and as we go down, it'll start getting darker and darker because we're starting to mix vapor and liquid. And then right here, which is about right here, is liquid now. It starts to change color and it gets like a purplish color. It's kind of hard for you guys to see, but the liquid level was down here. Now it's here. We're going to keep adding refrigerant to get it up to here when it's pumped down. If you're careful and you're lazy like me, you can actually leave it pumped down and just slowly add refrigerant with the pressure control bypass, not letting it get low enough. But you got to watch out. You don't want to kill the compressor. So, but it's like a quick way of not having to wait for a pump down. But just be very careful if you do that. You don't want to overload that compressor. But I'm just adding refrigerant slowly while it's in the pump down mode, so it's just stacking in the condenser and the receiver. You'll just notice the head pressure will just continue rising as we're adding refrigerant. All right, we are pumped down and we are looking good. Now, I know this is hard for you guys to see, but if we look, it's purple right at the liquid level, and then it gets red. And if you look in the top left-hand corner where the temperature says CEN, it says 88, 89, and then I go higher, and then it just starts climbing, 99, 100. So that's vapor up there, and our liquid level is approximately right at my line. Notice the temperature drops to 88, and then we go lower, and it's just gonna be like 88 degrees the whole way down. And then all of a sudden it jumps 92, 95, 100, 101, because that's all vapor. So my liquid level pump down is now right here, right? So we put all that refrigerant in there, so now we can open this guy back up and then watch the system operate and go do a leak search down at the evaporators to see if anything's going on down there too. I pulled the bellows off the pressure control. Check it out. This is what it looks like on the bottom side, and let's show you where the leak is. It's right over here. It's inside of it. It's just coming out on the inside, right in there. You can see it bubbling. So the bellows itself was bad. So we got this one changed out. It's running now. Like I said, What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shut the system down again. We'll equalize out the gauges, then we'll go downstairs and do a quick leak search on the evaporator, make sure nothing crazy is going on down there. Went ahead and shut the compressor off, okay? And then what we're gonna do is open up the low side and the high side, and we are gonna bleed the high side pressure into the low side to bring up the low side pressure. That way we have equal pressure on high and low, right? And that, if there is refrigerant leaks down at the evaporator, it'll make it easier to find those, because they'll be exaggerated by the higher pressure, right? Because it was running in the 80 PSI and then now we're running, you know, 170 or something. So, all right, let's head downstairs, get a ladder, and we'll do a quick leak search down there. Just doing a quick leak search. Again, we're equalized out, so if we have any big leaks, we should pick them up. Nothing. I don't really see anything. I'm gonna run it along the sides real quick, and then we'll get over to this other coil that's over here. They just got a delivery, so it's a bit tight in this beer walk-in, but working our way through. But I don't think there's gonna be anything. I think that pressure control was the big boy. All right, I'm getting ready to turn it back on. I closed the gauges down so they're no longer equalized. And we just flip this breaker. She is running. Knock this over. And we should be getting up to operating pressures. We're gonna put all the caps on, and then pretty much good to go. I'm gonna clean up some oil on that flare nut up there, double check that, make sure there's no leaks, but there was no more leaks in the evaporators, everything was fine. So yeah, that's where we're at, almost done here. The service call started as a strange noise coming from the beer walk-in, but they didn't want me to come out last night. They said their temps were okay. When I got here, the box was down to temp. The sight glass looked to be clear, but every once in a while it would do some bubble thing, right? But judging by the sound of what the manager recorded, because he did take a video clip and he sent it to me, it sounded like it was low on refrigerant or possibly going off on high pressure. It didn't seem like there was a high pressure situation. The condenser's not that dirty. It's a little dusty, but nothing crazy. Condenser fan motors are working. So I went ahead and did a pump down on the receiver. Pumped it down, heated it up with a heat producing device, used a thermal imaging camera to look at the liquid level, of which I marked the last time I did a major repair on this, and we were severely low on liquid refrigerant, indicating that it had a refrigerant leak. We did a quick leak search. We found that the bellows on the high pressure control right here was leaking. We went ahead and replaced the pressure control, topped off the charge, did another leak search on the rest of the system, didn't really find anything else, went down to the evaporators, nothing really. So that's it. We changed the high pressure control. It's actually a dual pressure control. I marked it, made sure the capillaries are ran in a way that they're not going to rub out, and the customer is going to be stoked. Now, I still didn't hear the sound that they were hearing, but the only thing I could deduce from all the symptoms that I found was that it was low on charge, and it was. So more than likely it was just feeding vapor yesterday for some reason. I don't know why it wasn't doing it this morning. Probably because there was no load on the box. It wasn't very hot outside, so it didn't need as much refrigerant to remove the little bit of heat that was inside that beer walk-in. But last night, yesterday afternoon, they were probably busy in and out, and there was a high heat load in there, and it just didn't have enough refrigerant, right, to feed through the expansion valves. The expansion valves started feeding vapor, and then the thing just started making that hissing sound. That's my only assumption that I can come to from, you know, everything that I work through. I do my best. I'm not the best technician out there. I just try to work my way through the problem using deductive reasoning, just, you know, dumb logic, basically, right? So I really appreciate you making it to the end of the video. Thank you so very much. You know, one thing I want to point out is that oftentimes you guys watching these videos will leave me feedback, and I learn from that feedback sometimes. Sometimes I don't do things correctly. You guys may give me some constructive criticism, and I can learn from that. I welcome that. If you guys have advice, feedback to give me, put it in the YouTube comments, shoot me an email, whatever you want to do. Shoot me a DM on social media. I'm always looking to learn and to improve my skills. So if you have something to add to what I do, you have an easier way to do it, share it. So that way I can share it with everybody too, right? And I encourage everybody out there to share your knowledge with your coworkers, with your peers, with whoever, because we can help the trade together by sharing the little bit of knowledge that we all have, right? So thank you so very much for making it to the end. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you know the easiest way to support this channel is just watch the videos from beginning to end. That really is the easiest way. But you can also go to my website, hvacrvideos.com, where we have merchandise available, hats, beanies, stickers, some t-shirts, very minimal sweatshirts left. The sweatshirts and the t-shirts are being phased out, so get them while you can. Although I have an interesting question. I have a huge stockpile of damaged merchandise. And when I say damaged, my OCD kicked in. The threads look a little funny on something. Like, some of it's not damaged at all, but there is some legitimate issues. So when I buy my merch, I inspect it all, right? And when I find damaged merch, I always tell the person that I purchased it from, and he tells me just to throw it away. So I have a big stockpile of damaged, messed up inventory, and I'd be willing to put it on the website as like damaged inventory, just basically get cost out of it, you know, shipping and all that stuff. If you guys are interested in that, let me know in the comments. Shoot me an email, hvacrvideos@gmail.com, and maybe I can release that merchandise, and if you guys are interested, I can push it through. Now, it wouldn't be the normal t-shirt pricing because it doesn't fit my standards, but they're decent shirts. Most of them, probably, to be honest with you, wouldn't even be anything that you would notice. It's just my OCD kicked in. So let me know, okay? But anyways, website, hvacrvideos.com. Now, if a couple other ways you can help support the channel, you can go to truetechtools.com. The DR82 leak detector that I used in this video, the HIC Micro thermal imaging camera, I think it's the M30, I think. Now, that one's a little overkill, but if you want to pick up a HIC Micro camera, you can get it from truetechtools.com. I have an affiliate program set up with them. You use my affiliate code at checkout. It's big picture, one word. So big picture, but no space, right? Put it in the coupon code or whatever they say at the end at checkout. Put that in there. On majority of the items, you'll get a discount, and I get a small commission when you do get that discount. So it's a great way to help support the channel, okay? So you can go to my web, or you can go to PayPal, Patreon, YouTube channel memberships. There's links in the show notes. Go to my website, hvacrvideos.com, truetechtools.com, or you can simply just watch the videos from beginning to end. I really appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to any feedback that you guys have. Again, shoot me an email, hvacrvideos@gmail.com. Leave me a comment in the YouTube comments. Let me know what you think. Give me criticism if you got it. I'm always looking forward to constructive criticism. Thank you so very much, and I hope to catch you on the next one, okay?